Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, members of the committee. My name is Julie Kelndorfer, and I, along with my colleague, Mary-Eve Samar, are here representing the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Canada. We are honoured to present to your committee as you study Bill C-22, the Canada Disability Benefit Act. To begin, Canada has one of the highest rates of MS in the world. As an autoimmune disorder, the body mistakenly attacks its own central nervous system, disrupting the signals coming from the brain and spinal cord. No two people experience MS in the same way. Symptoms vary from loss of vision or mobility to fatigue and incontinence. While some begin experiencing the disease as a progressive decline in ability from the outset, the majority experience MS in a cycle of relapses and remissions, known as episodes, episodic disability. Unfortunately for many, the damage from these episodes accumulates over time, resulting in permanent disability progression. Currently, we have no cure. For many, like myself, who was diagnosed 18 years ago when my son was just 1 year old, living with MS means a life of uncertainty. The uncertainty of not knowing if a symptom, like tremors in my hands when I couldn't even cut my own food at dinner, will last a day, a month, or a year, or if they will ever go away. Each day, waking up not knowing what lies ahead. The MS Society's goal is to ensure Canadians living with MS and their families can participate fully in all aspects of life despite this uncertainty. Income security is fundamental to that. We're here today to stress the urgent need for the Canada Disability Benefit Act and that it be inclusive of Canadians living with episodic disability by amending the Act to include the same definition of disability as found in the Accessible Canada Act. The effects of poverty for Canadians living with MS cannot be understated. Research on the disease has found that individuals with lower socioeconomic status were associated with a higher risk of disability progression and poorer prognosis, reaching physical disability milestones faster, like difficulty walking. Research also shows that serious economic consequences of MS begin within the first few years of diagnosis. Challenged by paying for medication, rehabilitation treatments, and transportation, living with MS is compounded by the need for services and equipment to aid lost abilities, feeding, mobility, and bathing aids. These are just some of the items needed in a list that's as lengthy as it is expensive. Imagine having to choose between heating your home and traveling to medical appointments, or buying decent food and seeing a physio to help you walk. Early intervention with life-altering disease-modifying treatments can slow or halt irreversible disability, but the cost of treatments is significant. A 2020 Conference Board of Canada report found in just 1 year, Canadians living with MS and their families paid out of pocket over $39 million. If you or your family are unable to afford treatments, your MS can get worse, making it more difficult to work and live an independent life, putting further pressure on your financial situation, leading to even worse symptoms, a downward spiral. The challenges living with MS brings, coupled with multiple barriers in current government support systems, has only been amplified during the pandemic and today's rising cost of living. And there's a gender dimension, as 75% of Canadians living with MS are women. Just as the Canada Disability Benefit targets working age Canadians, so too does MS. Most people are diagnosed between the ages of 20 and 49, prime career, family building, and earning years for people. Ray, who lives with MS, worries about his stop work day, as more than 60% of people diagnosed with MS eventually reach unemployment, which is high given their educational and vocational histories. This HUMA committee in 2019 studied the needs of Canadians with episodic disabilities, describing the income and employment context, and produced an excellent report. This committee has an important opportunity to align this act with the most current definition of disability found in the Accessible Canada Act. The MS community, alongside episodic disability partners, worked hard during the Accessible Canada Act consultations to be recognized by having episodic included in the definition of disability. It was monumental for our community. we now had a definition of disability that included us. The expectation was moving forward, all legislation and programs will explicitly contain this inclusive definition of disability. Each day, people with MS wake up to adversity and do everything in their power to persevere as they struggle to make ends meet. Let's work together to pass this legislation quickly, ease their struggle, reduce poverty, and support the financial security of working age persons with all types of disabilities, including episodic.